let's talk about and let's tackle a paradox. It's called the privacy paradox. Of course, the privacy paradox stands for as far as the usage is high, the trust in it is really low. As far as you're going to use technology, you're not necessarily going to trust it for what it is. To learn more about it, we actually asked Accenture to make a study about this paradox, and we're about to welcome on stage Kira Boulila, Managing Director, Communication, Media and Technology, and of course, Stéphane GEYRES, Managing Director for Security Executive. They're both from Accenture, and they're about to tell us more about this very paradox. Good morning, gentlemen. I guess you might need those.
Thank you.
Good morning.
You can see I'm not Kira Boulila.
Oh, you're not? Of course you're not.
But I'm Yannick SADOWY.
I told you not to trust me on stage.
It's a pleasure to be here today. I will have the easy role because I will ask questions. I will not be as successful as you are, but Stéphane is our expert in security. But let's start with a very simple question, Stéphane. It starts, for me, security starts with password. But I have, as a user, I have many passwords today, and I have a lot to remember. So, how can you manage that? And is it really necessary to have all those passwords?
It's about password management.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning again. Yes, I think we all have this fatigue of the password. The picture we selected is, of course, to make you smile about the whole thing. But yes, of course, I am tired about those many passwords that we have to set in for all those websites that we have. And of course, I'm in favor of security, so I'm not going to tell you that passwords are unnecessary. Yes, of course, we need to have those. But I think it's due to the maturity of the digital world we're living in. In the real world, for instance, we're talking about e-business, e-commerce, etc. In the real world, we would have cash. When you enter in a boutique and shop, and you don't want to be known, and you can, you just pay by cash. You don't need to pay by your plastic card or whatever. And cash is enough for making transaction. On this e-world of ours, we cannot do this. We need to pay with Visa or Amex or something. And then, therefore, you need to be known. As soon as you need to be known, well, there needs to be somehow a way for making sure that you are the one that you're supposed to be. So, yes, I think it's part of the whole thing. Now, of course, it's annoying. It's not going to last. I guess one of the challenges in the future that we're going to see is to make sure that we will be identified in some other way, in a much smoother way.
So it means that tomorrow I will be instantly recognized just as my baker around the corner would?
Yeah, I mean, anything like that. But I guess we are wearing those devices. And tomorrow the gentleman from Nokia was making the point that we were going to have Internet of Objects everywhere. So basically those phones are going to be beeping and connecting all the way as we move down a mall typically. So this will be the way, I guess, or any other way for being recognized instantly by the shop market. And we see this already happening if you're looking at what many of the social networks, for example, are the kind of role they start to play. They try to attract the transaction, the logging, the information to be the one and only way of connecting to the network. They want to be playing the role of the trust party for you, everyone, for being those people who will be recognizing you on the market tomorrow.
That's really nice, Stéphane. But looking forward now, this will probably come with new risk, no?
Yes, of course. There is risk in everything. I'm not sure we don't have a risk in being here all together, for instance. We have risk everywhere. But that's exactly where the trust comes into play. Trust is really about, I think, in the normal business of balancing, to make the further extra decision as to, yes, I think I can trust you just enough to make a transaction. So it's really about, indeed, balancing those risks, and we are already doing it. Each time you log on any kind of new website, you are taking this slight reflection about, can I trust those people? Yeah or no? So yes, of course, that's where it's going to be.
Taking another subject, another question. Working personally in the media space, every day in the news I can see that there is breaches involving personal data. Some of them come in mind, Yahoo, some digital TV channel recently, a dating portal also recently. This is really worrying, no?
Yes, it is. The picture we've selected, as you can see, is intentionally worrisome. Just for you to understand, the picture that came to mind is, this is the Erika sinking some years ago. And why the Erika? Because Erika is your company, and you were on the ocean smoothly embarked on business. And then suddenly something went wrong, and basically the oil spill came out, and then the whole environment was damaged. The birds were damaged, birds being you and I, basically, touched by the oil. So it's really about, if you don't pay attention as a company, then it's going to be you being in the news once, you're going to be sinking, and your clients will be damaged as well. So that's really what we are going to be facing tomorrow. Yes?
Law exists today. The CNIL in France, for example. I heard also Yves and Philippe that mentioned the new General Data Protection Regulation that is coming now in Europe that would probably enforce deterring fines. What about that?
Yes, of course. And it's good that we have such laws. I mean, I think the CNIL, which is a French old new law, for some time has been obviously positive. But my point is, law is not going to be... We are in an exploding world. We see technology going faster and faster. The client demand is going faster and faster as well. I think one of the challenges for the law, whatever the law, by the way, is going to be able to catch up with this. I personally do not believe that law is going to be and compliance to law is going to be the one mechanism for us companies to be ensuring that we can be trusted. I think the whole challenge to your point is that, yes, of course we need to abide to law, but the only way to this is to make sure that we show the market that we anticipate the law and we listen to the customer's demand and the client's demand on privacy security, even before the law.
And the question actually has always been the fact that if the time of regulation is the time of innovation, but actually we'll ask the question to Isabelle Falk-Pierrotin because she'll be on stage right after the break this morning.
Excellent. In a recent report I read on data protection, I noticed that poor trust might limit the digital growth. So what we should do?
Yes, indeed. We commissioned a study, I'll leave it available for you at any moment, whereby indeed the point is to say if we're reaching a point with the customers on the market are not getting more trust that indeed we are taking care of their data in general terms, then it could be a breaking factor, a hindering factor to the growth of the digital economy. Well, let's be positive. I think it's an opportunity for us all. I think the theme of this morning, to demonstrate that we care for our customers. And if we care for our customers, let them know that we do.
In the report you just mentioned, I like the picture.
Yeah, I was just staring at this picture and saying, wow.
It's transparent security.
Oh, wow. It's transparency at its most, because it's like, wow. Okay.
So in the report you just mentioned, and that we published recently on the security, I understood that more than half of the survey respondents agree that their business is not doing enough to build customer trust on the use of their data.
Yes, and it's surprising because I like to think that trust is not something new. You are already caring about trust in your usual business. So the mechanisms are very simple and usual. It's really about at least demonstrating that you're open, that you care, and that you give evidence that you really care for. So any traditional mechanism such as independent review, openness, communication, abiding to standards, contributing to standards will help. There are many others, but it's really more a mindset, I would say, an open mindset than anything.
Very clear. And in addition to that, in this report, we saw that 85% of the business taking part in this survey view transparency, as you show in this picture, as is very important.
Yes. Well, I think there is something specific about privacy and therefore also on security. Security in the IT world is very specific in the sense that you only care about security when it is not there. I mean, when security is there, you don't hear about it. You only hear about security when it is not there. You cannot demonstrate security. You can only demonstrate that it's not security. You cannot measure security. You can measure non-security, like we have on this picture, for instance. So that's where transparency comes into play. You cannot demonstrate you're secure, but at least you can demonstrate that you care for transparency, for security.
And this finding applies to tech and non-tech company.
Yeah, we are in digital world, and I guess we are in an audience of very tech-related companies, and so B2C as well. But we're moving also in a world which is more and more technical, even very traditional, what we call the motor companies. I mean, very industrial companies, aircraft, cars, whatever, are more and more going digital themselves. So more and more companies are going to be concerned to that respect, but also the B2B companies, the supply chain is going to be impacting the end client, the end provider, and therefore the end client. So more and more of the market is going to be directly or indirectly in this realm and concern. So it's pretty much the concern of everyone.
And especially when the B2B market is just looking like the B2C market. I mean, they just look like. Yeah,
the difference between B2B and B2C is getting narrower and narrower.
It's blurring, so.
Yes, absolutely.
Another slide.
Mm-hmm. Another photo too.
Yeah, very, very simple slides.
Yeah.
I like it. Our survey also find out that 90% of the businesses upgrade the security of their IT system and accountability structure, which is positive. No?
Yes, it is positive, but the interesting side is, if I remember well, only 74% are really taking action. So there's still quite a significant share for improvement. And also, when we say this, I think the important point is not IT, because security is not IT security. Security is a feature, a state of mind, and a service, I would say. In your question, I think the important word is accountability, not IT, accountability. And I will give a very simple example. We've been talking about data, customer data. Key question is, ask yourself within your company, who is in charge of the customer's data? And who should be in charge of the customer's data? As far as I know, most of the companies do not have a simple question for that. But if you don't, then how are you going to be accountable?
And in addition to that, coming back to the study, 81% of the company recognize that giving customer a greater control over their own data is very important. How can we deal with that? How can we go about it?
Yes, and I guess that's what we want to depict on the picture. I like to be able to maneuver the clouds like this. But let's consider again what the social networks are doing. I'm not saying the social networks are perfect, but they're certainly leading the trend on this. If you have a Facebook account or Google Plus account or any of those, you will see that, or Twitter, you will see that most of those social networks leave to their clients, to the user, the possibility first to publish what they want, and to also to have parameters as to how secure they want to strengthen their data. There are different security options. There are also security options as to the passwords, the level of connection, and also how much people would be able to access their publication. So the point being that most of the functionality of those social networks are focused on to giving the control on the user itself regarding their own security. Of course, it's not going to be easy for everything, but that's the key trend I think we're heading to.
I see. And also, according to this study, only 55% claim taking action. Any reason for a so small number?
I think it's simple. It's catching up and money for catching up. If we refer back to the GDPR, the new European directive on protection of data, one of the features, the promise, I would say, of the GDPR is the right to forget. To be able to implement the right to forget, you have to implement the new functionality. Bearing in mind that, for example, the right to forget is completely contradictory with the right to archive. So it's not something which is simple to implement, and just creating the new functionality needs to be, it's a creation of new functionality. In many old systems, like for instance, the banks or insurance are old systems, so it's a cost to implement new functionality, so it's really a matter of money, ultimately.
Very clear. Another one.
It's the last one.
The last one.
But not least.
As I mentioned initially, I'm leading the media space. My clients are media companies. Engaging the consumer is key in my industry to get some information related to the consumer and to be able to better target him. What I have noticed in the study you just issued is that 72% of the respondents see equity as a very important topic. What does it mean in terms of security?
What we call equity is, and I think it's been discussed before, is the concept whereby, I mean, it's another word for monetize, I would say. I think one way for people to trust you more is if they see that the data they entrust you with is going to be used fairly, and fairly means that they're also getting something out of it. So that's traditional features. If I give you more data, maybe I'm getting a better level of service. Maybe I'm getting more service. Maybe I'm getting fidelity points. You name it. But it needs to be a fair exchange. So we're shifting from a pure data collection mindset to a peer-to-peer customer-buyer relationship where the data is the new money, basically.
And that's what you call digital inclusion, no?
Inclusion is also in this report and concept a little more than that. We also include the concept of stewardship, which is also about trust. Is also in this new world a matter of demonstrating that the company cares for other things as well, and it's at the crossroads with sustainability, I would say. If you also demonstrate that you care for the good, I would say, overall, that's also what we include in this. So it's not only about me, it's about us.
And with all of this, would you say that digital trust is coming of age?
I think the bottom line, in my opinion, is we are now, and probably for the little time to come, at an inflection point. The bottom line of this study says that if the trust is not felt by the clients, basically, the users, they might refrain from using more and the growth might not be there. I think it's both a threat and, of course, an opportunity. The opportunity being that if we take the lead on demonstrating that we care, then there's a new capability of creating a new environment. I did like the presentation from Nokia about the IoT needs to make sure that security is from the outset. That's exactly the challenge. I think there's also a question of what is the governance about that. But I think it's really about taking the opportunity that we are this inflection point to rebound and create the right internet for tomorrow.
Excellent. Stéphane, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much again for this actually study from Accenture. And again, that the audience will bear in mind the fact that trust is definitely a question of mindset, and that trust is a growth driver. But again, is trust the new black? That's what we'll see during the upcoming session. Thank you again. I think you deserve some applause, of course, while grabbing your seats in the audience. Thank you so much.